And so today we are introducing a new notebook computer that we are calling the MacBook Pro. And here it is.
This is the MacBook Pro. It's the most expensive, most beautiful, and most powerful laptop I've ever used. Since I took my sweet time to review this computer, I can probably safely assume that you know all the basic stuff about this generation of the MacBook Pro. If in case you don't, I'll cram a basic 10-minute review into the next 30 seconds. Oh, and there's a shot on the iPhone 7 and the Nikon D3400. Let's get straight into this. The new MacBook Pro comes in two finishes, space gray and silver. The glowing Apple logo is gone. The keyboard is the highly controversial butterfly mechanism. All the ports are Thunderbolt 3. You're gonna need dongles if you want to plug in any external devices. There's no SD card reader. Surprisingly, it still has a headphone jack. The internal SSD is super fast. Even external ports are super fast. The function key row has been replaced by the touch bar, which adapts to various different apps. The trackpad is huge, it has multi-touch gestures, 3D touch, it doesn't actually click, and the price is $1,800. Alright, let's take a deep breath and slow down. Let me start off by telling what I use my Mac for. I use my Mac for a lot of content creation and consumption. That's Spotify, YouTube, and all my editing apps. Now, let's talk about what you'll be staring at the most, and that's the display. The display is a bright 500 nit 13.3-inch panel with a P3 color gamut. The display is plenty crisp and gets nice and bright outdoors. True Tone, if you've never heard of it, adjusts the display's color temperature according to the surroundings, and it works really well, making the display more easy on the eyes. The resolution of the display is 2560 x 1600. The display is coupled with Intel Iris Plus 655 graphics. The display is nice and vibrant and the colors are rendered accurately. The display isn't an OLED display, but it's one of the best panels I've ever seen. The display gets nice and bright and is visible outdoors, even under harsh sunlight. Also, this isn't the only display on this computer. There's a second display and it's called the touch bar. Replacing the function key row, the touch bar adapts differently to various apps. So you can easily find the emoji that you want, find the shortcuts that you wish to use in Final Cut Pro, or easily scrub to your favorite part in your favorite movie. The touch bar adapts uniquely to each and every app. But the most important part is running NeonCat. Wait, right? Next to the touch bar is the second generation Touch ID. It's lightning fast, super easy to set up, and unlocks your Mac in an instant. All it takes is one tap. That's it. It's really fast. Above the display are the True Tone sensors and the 720p iSight camera. It's certainly not the best front-facing camera Apple has made. It needs a lot of improvement. Up next is sound, and oh my god did the MacBook manage to blow my mind away. This is probably the best set of laptop speakers I've ever heard. They've got stereo separation, a good amount of bass, and they get really loud. I tried my best to capture this on audio. Have a listen. Up next is the keyboard and the trackpad. The keyboard is the highly controversial butterfly mechanism keyboard. I was a little apprehensive of these, but they aren't that bad after all. My only complaint is that they're a little too shallow, but at least they don't make lots of noise. Oh, and the keyboard is also backlit. The ambient light sensor changes the brightness of the keys according to the brightness of your surroundings. The trackpad is a huge, solid-state trackpad. By this I mean that the trackpad doesn't actually click. It just gives you the sensation that you're clicking. This trackpad also has pressure sensitivity, so different actions can be performed by applying various degrees of pressure. Next up, let's have a look at the external ports on this computer, and there aren't that many. All the ports on this MacBook Pro are Thunderbolt 3. They look just like USB-C, except these are way faster. Although all these ports are super capable, you're gonna need dongles if you want to work with them. Oh, and Apple's magnetic charger, MagSafe? Yeah, that's gone too. Also, I'd like to add this. Transferring footage via AirDrop is super fast and super easy. Last up, I'd like to talk about the performance and the battery of this machine. My MacBook Pro is the late 2018 13-inch MacBook Pro. And finally, the mid-tier models have quad-core processors. Next up are the benchmarks. The only two synthetic test scores that I'll give are from Geekbench 4, where the MacBook Pro scores really well. Next up is Rise of the Tomb Raider, where it struggles, but trust me, not all games are like this. The MacBook Pro also managed to stay cool without throttling too much. Although the fan speed gets very high under heavy workloads, it's not that loud. Apple has worked really hard to make sure that this Mac operates in silence. Next up is what I use the most on my Mac, and that's watching YouTube and working on Final Cut Pro. After trying out all the options, Final Cut Pro is my favorite video editor. I've been using this for the past 2 years and there's really been no problems. The MacBook hardware is meant to work perfectly with Final Cut Pro and it really does shine. If your workload isn't too heavy, you should easily be able to squeeze a full day of use out of this. Anything more and you'll probably need to carry around the charger. The maximum you'll get under a heavy workload is around 4 hours. Also, an underrated opinion of mine, the touch bar makes editing a little easier. Shortcuts can be accessed really quickly. Well then, who's this computer for? If you're a creative professional that needs all the power that he can get on the go, in a small form factor, well, this is the computer for you. If you're someone like me, take this as a one-time investment. Though the MacBook doesn't come first in everything, if you can afford its high price and the price for dongles, well, this is probably the best 13-inch computer that money can buy. Also, I'd like to give a quick thank you to all of my new subscribers that I've gained over this year. Also, a big thank you to everyone who's been supporting the channel. Without your help, this really couldn't have been possible. With this being my last video for the year, I'd like to wish each and every one of you happy holidays, and I'll see you all next year.